Say hi, Clover. Hi everybody, it's Brittany and Clover. And she's so cute. So if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, you may have already seen her. Isn't she pretty? Her name is Clover. We named her after the Nonary games, the 999, which is a video game. Anyways, oh baby, oh god. Can I say hi? You're so cool. Today I am doing, well, today is actually one of the worst days to do any video because this morning I went through stains. I was trying to see if there were any of my stains that I had duplicates up that I was willing to get rid of because, as I've said before, I like to declutter as I go, but I realized I don't want to get rid of any of them. Alright, I could get rid of this pillow. Clover has left. She's off. Anyways, today I decided that I was going to do swatches. I'm decluttering some of these, and I will tell you which ones I'm decluttering as I go, and it's not because I don't like them. More or less, I'm decluttering because I have duplicates, and I don't feel the need to keep a million of them. I like to buy the things that appeal to me. I like to swatch them. I like to show you guys. And then sometimes, I mean, I have so much makeup, there's no way that I would go through it all. So to have 6 Brights palettes is ridiculous. It really is. But I keep buying. I don't know why. Which means, in case you haven't been able to tell by my conversation, I'm going to be swatching all of my like rainbow palettes. It's not necessarily like all brights, it's rainbow palettes. And you're probably wondering what determines a rainbow palette, and you would think it would mean like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. No. I went through all my palettes, I looked through them all, and I picked the ones that I thought were similar in tones and had a large color array. So not ones that have neutrals and then a few pops of color. We're talking like mostly pops of color and a couple neutrals. First, I am going to start off with one of my most favorite beloved brands, and that would be Sugarpill. Sugarpill offers every color of the rainbow, to be honest. And I own every color that Sugarpill has ever released, to my knowledge. As far as pressed powders go, these are the ones that I'm going to swatch for you. If you look at the back of these, you can see that we have just every shade. Sugarpill shadows swatched. We have Love Plus, Flame Point, Butter Cupcake, Acid Berry, Velocity, and Poison Plum. Pretty sure. Yeah, Poison Plum. There's 2 purples. So we've got 2 AM and Poison Plum. But I swatched Poison Plum. Now these are very pigmented, very beautiful. Like I said, this red one isn't swatching right, but if you remember, when I originally was swatching, I think that when I originally went into these and did yellows, I also found that these were very stiff, and now you can see that the yellow after use has been warmed up. So I do feel like I just need to give this red a little more love and stop neglecting it. And if for some reason it's just the formula isn't going to work anymore, because these are older shadows, these are obviously not available anymore, so it's not like they're spring chickens. I also have this red in this palette, which is this shade here, which is beautiful. It's just shimmery, and I didn't want to do shimmeries. I wanted to stick with the mattes. So this is what Sugarpill looks like, in my opinion. Beautiful, gorgeous, love it. Alright, so the next palette, I guess kind of palette that I'm going to show you is the Melt Stack, and this is in it's the Radioactive stack. I put these in order because I'm OCD like that. All right, so this is the Radioactive stack. I stacked it in kind of, order. This one doesn't have a purple in it or a blue, but I did add this in because this is another brand. It's bright colors, and I feel like we're pretty close to a rainbow. We're just missing 2 shades, which is like half. But that's not the point. The point is that it's a different brand. These are the swatches from the Radioactive Melt Stack. I'm going to say that this does, if you look at it, it does look like it could be powdery and patchy, but please keep in mind that I am a mammal and I have hair on my arm. It's just white hair. And with that being said, that's why some of these may look patchy. Like I said, I wasn't thinking when I was decluttering, so I have swatches going up my arm. I guess I could swatch them like here, but I'm swatching them here. You just gonna have to live with the hair. I'm sorry. We have Radioactive, Radon, Neon, and Xenon. I will say this, these are slightly powdery and they do make a little bit of a mess when you get into them, but like I said, I keep the outside clean. I don't really worry too much about what's going on inside, and I try my best. That's all you can do. So, melt. The next palette that I was going to do swatches from is this Rue 21 Prismatic Shadows, and this is actually one that I am decluttering because this one, in my opinion, does not perform the best. I am going to swatch it for you anyways, but just keep in mind that this really isn't something that I would, out of all of these, this one isn't my favorite. All right, ignore this. This isn't a swatch, that's a stain. So we have the color here, which is Lucky Green, the color here, which is Lemon Drop. This one here is Joy. This one is Blue Star, and this last one here is Flamingo. I personally don't think that these shades are horrible, but like I said, I have these shades in a lot of other palettes, which is why I am decluttering them, because these aren't necessarily the best swatches. And if they're not the best swatches, not even one of these shades I would consider the best out of all of the similar shades that I have. So to me, the palette itself isn't worth keeping if I could find better shades or better quality of these shades in other palettes. Not that this is bad, because these are not horrible quality. They're just not the best that I personally have within my collection, and keeping this would be pointless because I would never reach for it. So this is, in fact, one of the items that I will be decluttering, unfortunately. So, all right, moving on to the next palette, we have the Amplified palette, which if you've seen my review on this, you know that I absolutely do not like this palette at all, so it should come as no shock that this is being decluttered. These are the swatches that I have from this palette. We have Vampire Red, Electric Banana, Enchanted Forest, Atomic Turquoise, and Ultraviolet. These, if you can't tell, this shade here is just lackluster, and all of these are shimmers. So these should perform beautifully, but as you can see, the pigment it's just not there, especially considering these are shimmers. So that's why I don't recommend this palette, and I'm decluttering it. The next, palettes I'm going to show you, actually both ones that I purchased from Tam Beauty at the same time. If you saw that Tam Beauty haul, I, mentioned in there that I was having a moment where it was either I wanted these really dark green shades or these really bright shades. There's no in between. I have no in between. I'm either here or here. This whole space in between is for other people, not me. So upon opening these, I realized that these two palettes are pretty much identical, and they look like this. This one here is the Revolution palette, and this is the Eat, Sleep, Makeup, Repeat, and then this one, that I'm shoving my fingers very viciously into. Sorry. is the Freedom palette. If you look at them though, they are literally the same palette, just set up a little bit differently. I'm not even joking. I'm actually going to swatch them together. I will do, when I do this side, the swatches on my arm, the first one is going to come from the Freedom palette, and then the second one is going to come from this Revolution palette, just so we can do them at the same time, because they're so similar. The first one is Freedom, and the second one is going to be the Makeup, the Revolution Makeup, which I think is just, in the US, it's just Makeup Revolution. So, the first one is from the Club to Death palette, and the second one is from the Eat, Sleep, Makeup, Repeat. As you can see, though, looking at these swatches, they are quite literally identical. Personally, I am actually going to be decluttering this one, only because with them being so similar, I prefer the Freedom palette because of the size of the pans. These ones are longer. I feel like I can get my brush into them better, as opposed to this one where you have these tiny pans. And while the color, like the way that this color is set up is nice, because I feel like they're giving you individual looks that you can do, I prefer this one. I prefer creating my own looks, as opposed to being told what my look should be or what color stories look best together. And not only that, but these ones also have some of these nudes that I am browns and a black that I actually use when I do my makeup. I do use browns and nudes to start off an eye look, always. I don't know why. I just do. I will be decluttering this one, but not because it is a bad palette. I feel like these ones are just extremely similar, and I would rather keep this one. If you notice, my bun is getting messier because I keep sneezing. The next palette that I'm going to swatch for you is going to be the Tokidoki palette from Hot Topic. This is, I just like the packaging, to be honest. So it looks like this. Like I've stated before, this doesn't necessarily have all of the colors of the rainbow, but to me, this is more of a rainbow-ish palette. Out of this palette, we have only 4 shades that it has more of like similar shades, like it has more pinks and another blue, but we're just going to do the singular ones. So this is Pepperino, this one is Diego, this one is Kingsley, and then this one is Karina. With this palette, I feel like the colors aren't necessarily bam, bright, and super pigmented, but I find that with this palette that they blend really nicely, and that with some palettes, finger swatches don't necessarily translate to brush swatches, and with this one I do feel like these do translate kind of, or for the most part, similar to the finger swatches. So that's why I am keeping this one, plus it's Tokidoki, and I love me some Tokidoki. The next palette that I'm going to show you is going to be the Pretty Vulgar palette, and it looks like this. These are definitely more deep tones when it comes to the rainbow colors that I'm looking for, but at the same time, having deeper colors isn't a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be bright in order for it to be considered a rainbow. So these are the swatches. I ended up doing 2 purples only because when I swatched this one, it seemed extremely deep, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the lighter purple as well. So this here is Snitch, this is Formation, this here is Free, Jealous, Wing It, Head Bitch, and Brilliant. These I feel are beautiful. I love the shades in here. They're not, you might be looking at these and thinking, well, this one and that one are kind of patchy, but again, we are on hair. So, keep that in mind. I have used this palette quite a bit, not a lot, a few times. I like to use this when I am doing brighter eye looks and deepening that outer V with these. So with this having this many shade colors, it's ideal for me because I do a lot of brighter looks and I do like to deepen either the crease, like I said, the outer V, and I always find myself reaching for this palette. I also find that with this color here, Free, that it is a very shimmery gold color, and I find that if I pop it on the front, like in the inner corner, not necessarily, but the front third of my lid, that it will put a lot of pop into any color that I have there. And as long as I use a light hand, I don't find that it like drowns out the actual color. And not only that, but if for some reason I do use a heavy hand by accident, if I put a shade over top of it, it does blend into that shade nicely and adds that kind of glittery color that I'm looking for. And it is a yellow, but the way that it blends into colors, it's not like it's aggressively yellow. This is relatively new to my collection, so I don't have a lot of experience with this palette in particular. I think I haven't even swatched it. Like, it's brand new. Orange Sun, Yellow, Mermaid, and Aquarama. These to me are very soft. These have a consistency that reminds me a lot of Sugarpill itself. I actually plan on doing a comparing of similar shades within here. Moving on to the next palette I'm going to do is the Marc Jacobs palette, and this is the Siren palette. This is no longer available, unfortunately, but it is a rainbow palette within my collection, so I kind of did want to swatch it. I know that a lot of people collect. I know a lot of people go online and you can find these sometimes secondhand, or, you know, sellers who have bought them and saved them, never used them, or bought them for the purpose of reselling them years later, or people who put it in their collection, never touched them. Stuff like that. So I will be swatching this one for you in case it was something you were interested in purchasing after the fact. These are the shades from the Marc Jacobs Siren palette, and these actually do not have shade names. It's just Siren 1, 2, 3, and 4 through the line of them. So, I mean, if you want me to go through, it would just be like 2, 3, and there's really no point. There's no actual shade names. I don't really use this palette too often. I do like to come in here if I'm looking for a specific color in a metallic, because these are all metallics, but I don't typically reach for them because the quality isn't the greatest, and it's not because Marc Jacobs palettes aren't great. This one though is older, and as makeup ages, I mean, this has a shelf life of 12 months after opening. This is far past its expiration date, and as these products get older, they do tend to not perform as well as they used to. Moving on, I'm going to show you this palette, which is the MAC and Jeremy Scott collection. This one was a complete fail, bust. I hated this palette. None of the pigments worked out at all. This color right here is Walking Heartbeat, Disco Therapy, Memories of Space, Remixology, At the Turntable, Club New Wave Mix. Sorry, that was a long one. I don't think that MAC has bad products at all, but I do feel like they were focusing more on the packaging with this collaboration, which is beautiful, which is probably why a lot of people who bought it never returned it and just kept it, because the packaging is gorgeous. The quality, however, if you can't tell, is it's just not there. And that is why with this palette, I cannot recommend it to you. If it wasn't so sentimental to me and it wasn't so beautiful, I would probably declutter this, and I would have probably returned it a lot. Like, it was $75, so I definitely would have returned it. I'm going to be moving on to the Urban Decay. Which palette was this? I, for the life of me, cannot remember what this palette was labeled as. This palette, I have reviews on. I have a review on, And I'm going to show it to you. It's hard to show it to you in a way that, all right, this will have to do. So, this is the Urban Decay something palette. I cannot remember for the life of me which palette this is. It is very beautiful. These, unfortunately, are all shimmers though, so this is not a standalone palette. As you can tell, these are all gorgeous. These are shimmery shades, and some of these are foiled. If you can't tell, you can see by the way that they chunk on my skin, and it's not from just my hair being there. These are actually, some of these are actually foiled. This one here is After Party, Twisted, Mullet, Dive, and Metalhead. These are all extremely gorgeous shades, like I said. This is the Urban Decay Urban Spectrum palette, and I feel like a lot of people do have this palette because this was more like when this one came out, but it was earlier than that. And it does have an array of rainbow colors in here. Does it have it all? No. I think there is other palettes. If you can't tell, I accidentally nicked it too. Sorry. Now, I'm going to say this off the bat. These are obviously older shadows than this one. These have more foiled shadows in it than this palette. And this obviously can show you the progression that Urban Decay has made in shadows and how they've created them. So this one is Backlash, Protest, Evidence, and Omen. Now, the last one that I'm going to show you is the Supernova palette. I'm not sure if this is still available, by BH Cosmetics. And if you look at it, we have an array of beautiful shimmer shades. These are all baked shimmer colors. So, again, keep that in mind. We have Aries, Celestial, Phoenix, Pisces, Nova, and Nebula. And these are gorgeous. Like I said, I can't believe I continuously forget that this palette is in my collection. Why? Why do you forget, Brittany? I don't know. You're crazy. These are beautiful. I love BH Cosmetics shadows. They are an affordable brand, and their shadows, their bake shadows are gorgeous. What I've taken from this video, because I've initially made this video just to kind of show, like, comparing bright palettes, what bright palettes, affordability versus high-end, is it worth spending that little bit of extra money? I would have to say that with these are worth every penny that you will pay for this melt stack. Now, as far as metallic shades go, I would have to say that BH Cosmetics ones are the best out of all of them as far as metallics go. I like all of these palettes, to be honest. I really do. There's a few, like I said, that I'm decluttering just because they don't perform as well as these, or I feel like they're too similar. But I wouldn't show you, like, I told you which ones I was decluttering and why. And then the ones that I've kept, I wouldn't keep them if there wasn't a reason behind it. So anyways, that's how I feel about these. This was just an experiment. This was fun. This was just going through and playing with some bright colors because Brittany loves bright colors. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back for more. I love you all, you beautiful unicorns. Bye. Also, I'm kind of like shocked by Saucebox. Me and Saucebox, we need to have a talk. And by we have to have a talk, like, talk to myself about them.